A single dad saves a poor girl abandoned in a wheelchair in the rain. Her secret shocked him. The rain had turned the street into a river of broken reflections, neon lights bleeding into puddles, when he saw her. A lone wheelchair stood tilted near the curb, soaked and shaking under the storm, and in it sat a girl so still she looked like part of the night itself. Cars rushed past, splashing water, people hurried by with their heads down, and no one stopped. In that moment, something heavy and familiar cracked open inside him, the same ache that had followed him ever since life took everything from him at once. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her story. All he knew was that if he walked past her, he would never forgive himself. Before the story continues, take a second and listen with your heart. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in helping someone even when the world tells you to keep walking, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. He was a single father named Arav, though most days he felt more like a survivor than a parent. Life had not eased him into hardship, it had slammed him into it. His wife had died 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old son and a silence in the house that screamed at night. Every day was a balancing act between grief and responsibility, between being strong and feeling completely empty. He worked long hours at a small repair shop, earning just enough to keep the lights on and food on the table. Dreams had been replaced with routines, and hope had been reduced to small, practical wishes, like making it to the end of the month without borrowing money. That evening, he had been walking home later than usual, shoulders hunched against the rain, mind heavy with unpaid bills and his son's school fees. He was tired in a way that sleep could not fix. When he saw the girl in the wheelchair, abandoned like unwanted luggage, his first instinct was fear. Not of her, but of what helping her might cost him. Time, money, emotional energy he barely had left. The world had taught him, painfully, that kindness often came with consequences. Still, his feet slowed, then stopped entirely. The girl couldn't have been more than 19 or 20. Rain plastered her hair to her pale face, and her thin clothes clung to her fragile body. Her eyes were open, staring somewhere far beyond the street, and her hands trembled from cold more than fear. There was no bag, no phone, no sign that anyone planned to return for her. It was as if she had been placed there and forgotten. Arav took off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders, the rain soaking through his shirt instantly. He pushed the wheelchair toward the nearest shelter, every step feeling heavier as questions filled his mind. Who leaves someone like this in the rain? Why didn't anyone else stop? What if she needed medical help? What if helping her dragged him into trouble he couldn't handle? Yet beneath all those questions was something quieter and stronger, a voice reminding him of the night he held his dying wife's hand in a hospital corridor while strangers passed by, too busy to notice his world ending. He brought her to a small tea stall with a tin roof, where the owner stared in surprise but said nothing. Arav paid for hot tea with money meant for tomorrow's groceries, watching her hands slowly warm around the cup. She still hadn't spoken. Her silence was not stubbornness, it was exhaustion layered over something deeper, something broken. When he finally wheeled her into a cheap auto and took her to his modest home, he told himself it was just for the night, just. Until the rain stopped and she regained her strength. His son, Rohan, was already asleep when they arrived, curled up on the bed with a schoolbook open beside him. Arav laid the girl on a thin mattress on the floor, dried her hair with an old towel, and covered her with the warmest blanket he owned. He slept that night in fragments, waking again and again to check if she was breathing, if she needed help, if he had made a terrible mistake. Morning light revealed how young she really was. Without the rain and darkness, her face showed signs of long-term hardship, hollow cheeks, faint scars on her arms, eyes that had learned not to expect mercy. Arav made simple breakfast and helped her sit up, noticing how her legs remained still, unresponsive. The wheelchair wasn't temporary. This was her life. Days passed, and she stayed. Arav learned her name was Mira. She spoke little, but when she did, her words were careful, as if each one cost her something. He learned that she had no family left who claimed her, that she had been living in a charity shelter that closed suddenly, that someone had promised to take her to a safer place and instead left her in the rain when she became inconvenient. Each piece of her story added weight to his chest. Helping her was not easy. Money grew tighter. Space felt smaller. Neighbors whispered. Some warned him that taking in a disabled stranger would ruin his life. Others looked at him with suspicion, as if kindness itself were a crime. Arav felt the pressure building, the familiar fear that he was about to lose control again, just like after his wife died. Some nights, after everyone slept, he sat alone and wondered if he was strong enough to carry another broken soul when he still hadn't fixed his own. But something unexpected happened. Rohan grew attached to Mira in a way that softened the entire house. He did his homework beside her, told her stories from school, and laughed in a way Arav hadn't heard in years. Mira began to smile, then laugh softly, then help with small tasks from her wheelchair. The house, once heavy with grief, started to breathe again. Then the secret came out, not all at once, but in fragments that eventually shattered everything Arav thought he knew. One afternoon, as rain began to fall again, Mira broke down. Her body shook as she cried, and through her tears, she confessed the truth she had been hiding. She was not just a poor abandoned girl. She was the sole witness to a powerful crime involving influential people who had destroyed her family and left her paralyzed in what was supposed to be an accident. The shelter that closed had received threats. The person who abandoned her in the rain had been paid to silence her, to let the storm finish what the accident started. Arav felt the room spin. Fear returned, sharper than before. This was bigger than kindness. Bigger than charity. This was danger. If he helped her now, truly helped her, he could lose everything. His job, his home, even his son. The easy choice would have been to step back, to call someone else, to pretend he had never heard her story. But as he looked at Mira, at the terror she had lived with every day, he saw something else too. Courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet kind that survives even when the world tries to erase it. He realized that saving her from the rain had not been an accident. It had been a test. The days that followed were filled with tension. Arav reached out to the right people, carefully, quietly. Old contacts from his past, a journalist he once helped fix a car for, a lawyer known for taking impossible cases. Each step forward felt like walking on thin ice. There were threats, subtle and not so subtle. Strange men near the shop. Silent calls at night. Fear became a constant companion. Yet something stronger grew alongside it. Purpose. For the first time since his wife's death, Arav felt like his pain had been transformed into something meaningful. Mira's testimony, once protected, became powerful. Evidence surfaced. Truth began to leak into the world, slow but unstoppable. When the story finally broke, it shook more than just the people responsible. Donations poured in. Support arrived from unexpected places. Mira received proper medical care and legal protection. Arav's small act of stopping in the rain rippled outward, touching lives he would never meet. Near the end of this story, before the final moments unfold, I have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. In the quiet aftermath, when the danger passed and the storm clouds cleared, Arav stood at his window one evening, watching Mira and Rohan laugh together. His life was still hard. He was still a single father with limited means and an uncertain future. But the emptiness that once defined his days had been replaced with something else. Connection, meaning, hope. Mira would eventually move to a supported living community, her future no longer defined by abandonment but by resilience. She never forgot the man who stopped in the rain. Arav never forgot the night that reminded him who he was beneath the grief. And now, as this story comes to a close, if it touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that one small act of kindness can change multiple lives, please like, comment, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps keep these stories alive, spreading hope to people who might be standing in their own storm, waiting for someone to stop. Sometimes, saving someone else doesn't just rescue them from the rain. Sometimes, it saves you too.